Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
Hello there, everybody. Welcome to Music of the Mountains, where to be and what to see, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. In this week's episode, I'll be bringing in Emily Pennington, who will be performing a solo show at Busey Brews very soon. Before we get into the episode, submissions are currently open for the Youth Art Contest presented by the Mountaineer. Submissions are due by March 31st. The contest opens on April 9th, and the winners will be announced in the April 23rd edition of the Mountaineer. Be sure to head to the link in the description below to enter the contest today. The Youth Art Contest. Your vision, your voice, your art. Creativity starts with you. In Music of the Mountains, we want to make sure we keep you up to date with all of the great music events in the Peak to Peak area, and that includes music events from this week's sponsor, Eldora Mountain Resort. Skip the epic traffic on I-70 and head to Eldora for good vibes all season long. Eldora is your go-to spot for non-stop winter fun, with great local skiing and riding, plus slopeside DJs and the App Race music series. Don't miss the Full Moon Ski Tour, the Timbers Rail Jam, or the Morning Uphill Grind. Get all the details and check out weekly events at eldora.com. See you on the mountain! And now, let's get into the interview.
All right. So, do you mind just introducing yourself real quick?
Sure. It is Emily Pennington, and I work as a freelance writer, but I'm also one of the two lead singers for the band Braids out of Boulder, Colorado.
Sweet. You will be performing a solo show coming up at Busey very soon, though.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I'm also a songwriter. I'm a songwriter for the band, and I have a lot of solo material as well.
Very cool. So how did you get started in music in general? What's been your musical trajectory, particularly here in Colorado?
To be totally honest, I played guitar a tiny bit in college and got really down on myself because it's really hard and it hurts your fingers. So I kind of put the guitar down for like 10 or 15 years and didn't even think about it very much. And then when I moved to Colorado, I moved to Boulder, and I was a little bit nervous about having my first real winter, with like snow and it getting dark early. And so I wanted to give myself a big creative project, and I decided to start learning guitar again. So I learned from scratch and mostly self-taught. I did a few little lessons here and there. And that was about 2 years ago. So I've only been playing guitar 2 years. But my partner is an incredible guitar player. Oliver Franklin is his name. He has 3 solo albums out. He's also my partner in the band. And yeah, I think I get to level up very quickly as a new guitar player because I had kind of such a great inspiration in my home life, I guess. I had someone that I could just kind of cheat code my way into figuring out some music theory and songwriter basics.
For sure. So, okay, you're currently singing with your partner in Braids. Who were the people involved in that group? How did that involvement get started? What's the background of that group, even though you're playing solo in the upcoming Busey Brews show?
The origin of the group, well, Oliver and I started by playing David Bowie and Bob Dylan songs, mostly to our Black Lab mix on the couch. And we were having a ball, honestly. We were newly in love. We met shortly after I moved to Boulder, and we were having so much fun just kind of making up harmonies and playing music together that we were like, wait, we should try to book some low-level gigs around town, and we should try to get together a 1-hour set list or something like that. And it's really just grown from there. I think that we have a lot of the same musical influences and very similar musical tastes. So rather than going the traditional kind of bluegrass or Boulder County folk scene route. Oliver and I are very influenced by a lot of songwriters like Lucinda Williams and John Prine, but we're also very interested in people who are kind of genre bending in the Americana music scene. So we love like Big Thief, Wednesday, Mitski, bands that can be a bit grungy and loud while also maintaining a deep songs and lyrics focus.
For sure. Out of curiosity, I'd love to see if I could just add this in a little bit here, because we have a supplementary publication now that we're working on called the Caribou Current.
Yeah.
And every now and again, we're going to add a segment in called Under the Influence. So I wanted to ask if there are a couple of albums, particularly from any of those artists, that have really inspired you or your sound over the years.
Yes, absolutely. I would say, I mean, both for me personally and for the band Troubles Braids, Big Thief's masterpiece, having these kind of like fuzzed out guitars, but also finger-picked folk songs existing side by side on an album, I think that is very much what we want the band to be about. I'm trying to think another album title. It's so funny with streaming services, it's like we don't get the luxury of putting on a full album back to back the way that we used to.
Mm-hmm.
Mitski's album Be the Cowboy was also really influential on me when it first came out. I think that there's like a raw ferocity in addition to like really heartfelt original songs and ballads that really moved me when it first came out in 2018. And I feel like that's an album that I still return to when I want to feel really inspired from a songwriting perspective.
Absolutely.
Also, I would say Tom Waits, who is our namesake. Troubles Braids is from kind of an obscure Tom Waits song off of Swordfish Trombone. But I'm going to have to say that Blood Money by Tom Waits or Rain Dogs are probably two of my and our biggest influences in terms of just like gonzo lyrics, really cool genre bending. I feel like you don't know if you're going to get a circus polka or if you're going to get like a ripping guitar song with Mark Ribot, who's one of our favorite guitarists. Tom Waits has used him for many years. They're big collaborators. So yeah, I'd say those two are huge influences as well.
Amazing. And through all of the time with first you performing with Oliver and then that expanding into the group, what's been great about coming into your own as a songwriter and also developing that voice with other people as that's expanded?
I think that songwriting is kind of the ultimate antidote to the modern condition because, first of all, music is a really communal experience, right? I mean, music is very much meant to be shared. It's also literally scientifically therapeutic, singing, stomping, clapping, bilateral movement, rhythmic things like dancing. These are all like real things that can shift and deeply impact your mental health, you know, as an individual. And I think that both of those things are going to become ever more critical as we continue to get even more, you know, deeply entrenched in online and social media spaces and digital worlds.
For sure.
I guess second part of the question, I just realized it was a two-parter. So you must stump me. Yeah, with another person, I mean, gosh, especially with someone you're dating. I mean, geez, I would say it is an often humiliating and deeply humbling and vulnerable process to be like, look at this little baby thing that I made. And it's like this new song. It's not even polished yet, you know, and then having to figure out like a workflow and also a communication style that is not going to hinder creativity, but rather foster additional creative growth and make the songs and the acts and the band better.
Absolutely. And what has stuck out to you about the songwriting process just over the years, whether it's on your own or with others?
Well, I mean, I think as someone who's worked as a journalist for, you know, over 6 years, that's a much more linear creative process, in my opinion. It's a lot more like deadlines focused. There's clear theses and, you know, pitches and guidelines. So for someone like me, or I could imagine for someone with a, you know, a strict desk job, songwriting has been like this wild excuse to take my writing sensibilities and make them this like weird surrealist poet thing that doesn't necessarily have to make money or be good enough for the New York Times or whatever. It can just be this weird thing that I'm doing on the weekends or at night and occasionally gigging with.
For sure. Hey, we've been working in journalism for about the same time.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
April marks 7 years for me.
Oh, cool. cool. Yeah, I think January or December it might have been 7 years for me. I'm not sure.
And have those fields, journalism or music, combined for you at all? Because they have for me for quite a while, of course, but I don't know how they might connect together for you.
I mean, not a ton. I feel like, honestly, the place where they intersect the most is probably the most boring place. Because, I'm sure you can relate, like, as someone who has to think of story ideas and pitch stories and find angles, I think that I have a weird leg up in terms of, like, making sure that I'm on top of the PR for the band and making sure that, like, our online presence is really strong. Because most people discover music online or on Spotify these days. So... yeah, I think that, honestly, the places where they intersect are mostly just, like, I'm really lucky to have a lot of good media contacts. I have a really great camera as well. Like, I love shooting photography on my Sony A7. And, yeah, like, I've conceptualized, shot, edited, designed all of our album art covers and all of our promo photos. And it's been kind of a blast because I don't usually shoot portraits. I usually shoot, like, random landscape photography when I'm backpacking. So I guess there's a little crossover.
For sure. Absolutely. And in terms of, you want to make sure you promote the shows, you want to make sure you get excitement out there, particularly for the music and all that. Once that's all come together and people are there for the shows and enjoying the music, what's most enjoyable for you performing, whether it's on your own or with Troubles Braids?
I think that one of my favorite things about performing live on stage is just like that kind of magical feeling of shared catharsis that you can only really get in a crowd where everyone is fully present and not on their phones. I think that some of my favorite nights out that I've ever had in my life were like these huge shared experiences where live music was a part of it. And I feel like if I could achieve just like if I could help someone else get one little sliver of that feeling, then I feel like I've done my job. I think that community spaces and shared catharsis are going to be even more important, as we continue, like, in the current administration, but then in addition to that, like, live our lives online, like I said earlier, more and more.
For sure. And I assume that community is a huge part of what you want people to take away from your shows when they come to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oliver and I talk a lot about this notion of dancing through the darkness. We might be the kinds of songwriters who focus a lot on darker topics, but we do have a lot of up-tempo songs, and we try to be like a very like hook and groove focused band. And I think that the combination of the two can be this really awesome sweet spot where people can have like a really joyful shared experience, even if that experience is, I don't know, I guess in part coming about because of like a band or an artist, could be visual media as well, that's focusing on darker themes, because I think that the arts are one of the few places where we can express those ideas with abandon.
For sure. And since you mainly performed in the Colorado music scene, what has stuck out to you most about performing here in Colorado and being able to connect with musicians here?
One thing I really love about the Colorado scene, I lived in Los Angeles for like 19 years before moving here, and so I was in the film industry, but it's hyper competitive, really tough to like get a word in edgewise or get your name out there. Even as someone on the back end of the film industry with a desk job, it's crazy. So one thing that immediately struck me about Colorado's music scene was just like how welcoming everyone is, and like what commitment to not just DJs, but like actual live music there is throughout the state and the Front Range. I'm like really impressed with like how kind of talent and skills focused a lot of the booking is rather than like youth obsessed. I think that's really cool and something that doesn't get talked about enough. Yeah, I feel like Denver and the entire Front Range is about to blow up for independent music, and I think it already is. I feel like it's totally poised to become like the next Nashville. It's just no one's talking about it.
For sure. And yeah, in terms of other things that are coming up, you've got the solo show coming up. I'm sure you're promoting other Troubles Braids shows that are coming up. Do you or the band have any like projects in the works? Is there anything that you're excited about that's coming up? I don't know. Is there anything else in general about any of that you want to add or make sure is talked about?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We have so much. Yeah, I would say we're going to be at the Niwot Wheelhouse. That's in Boulder County on March 13th. I believe that's from like 6 to 8. We just added a drummer and a bass player also in Boulder. So in about a month, we will be starting to gig out as a full quartet, which we're so excited about. It's going to be like a full folk rock, rowdy Americana experience. So yeah, we're debuting the quartet at the Roxy in Denver on March 28th. But if you'd rather come see it in Boulder, I'm doing a birthday show with Troubles Braids April 10th at Trident, and that is open to the public.
Sweet. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you have anything else in general about things, but those are the big questions that I have on my end, I think.
Nice. Our next big ticketed show also is going to be May 8th at the End in Lafayette, which is where Doghouse Music Studios is, which is where we're recording a new EP. Part of it was recorded there. That'll be out in early June, and that's going to be a full band EP.
Very cool.
I guess that's another little detail. Yeah, so 2 of the songs on there are songs that I sing lead on and I wrote myself, and then 2 of them are Oliver songs. And then we also had an EP that was recorded here in Boulder at Violet Recording Studios that came out last June of 2025. And yeah, that's on all streaming platforms. And then if people want to figure out more show dates or they want to see weird, fun videos of us performing, all of our social media is just at Troubles Braids Music.
Sweet. In any case, I think those are the big questions that I have on my end. Thank you so much for taking the time to do all this.
Of course. Yeah, same. I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you so much, Emily, for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. She'll be performing solo at Busey Brews, located at 70 East 1st Street in Nederland on Sunday, March 15th, 2026, starting at 2 p.m. To learn more about Emily and her musical efforts, be sure to follow Trouble Braids Music on social media and head to their website at troublesbraidsmusic.wordpress.com. To learn more about Emily and her efforts outside of music, be sure to head to her personal website at brazenbackpacker.com. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to this week's episode of Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountain Ear Podcast. We'll be back very soon with another episode of the Mountain Ear Podcast. In the meantime, if you want to share this episode or others around with whoever you see fit, then be sure to head to our primary homepage at themtnear.com and find our episode archive. You can subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Podchaser, and more. If you're interested in subscribing to the Mountain Ear today and supporting local journalism, then be sure to head to themtnear.com and click on the subscribe button in the top right corner of the home page. From there, you'll get full access to our digital archives and scanned copies of our physical newspaper. And you can choose to send a physical subscription to your mailbox or to the mailbox of someone that you love. If you have any questions about the podcast or the paper or any suggestions for us, be sure to reach out to myself, Jamie Lammers, at media@themountainear.com, my co-host, Tyler Hickman, at tyler@themountainear.com, our editor-in-chief, Barbara Hart, at info@themountainear.com, or our front desk at frontdesk@themountainear.com. And finally, a special shout-out to our new supplement publication, The Caribou Current, which has just launched its 2nd issue. Mountaineer subscribers get The Caribou Current monthly, completely free of charge. For more information about the publication, be sure to head to their website at cariboucurrent.com. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day.
Mind like a bear trap, body like a weapon. Mind like a bear trap, body like a weapon.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Body Like a Weapon. It's the opening track from the debut EP by the duo Troubles Braids, The Big Tourists, which you can find wherever you get your music, along with their single Live at Stone Cottage. Troubles Braids member Emily Pennington, who also wrote and sang lead on this song, will be performing solo at Busey Brews, located at 70 East 1st Street in Nederland, on Sunday, March 15th, 2026, starting at 2 p.m. So be sure to head over there if you want to hear more of her original songwriting.
Bad behavior. The old world, it ain't over. Now it's the time of monsters. Mind like a bear trap, body like a weapon. Nations crumble all the time. Didn't think that it'd be mine. Musical chairs with knives on the seats.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.